Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Last week, a popular lesbian content creator went a little bit viral when she made a TikTok where she came out as bisexual. So she no longer identifies as a lesbian because she realized, oh hey, I actually also like men. And I found out about this due to the response that she received, where after coming out as bisexual, she started receiving a lot of hate, like so much hate, like including and down to like death threats and being doxxed. And I found out about this because she posted a statement about that on TikTok and in her Instagram story, which then made its way over onto Twitter, where people were just talking about how present biphobia is within the queer community. And I really wanted to talk about this entire issue and like dive into that and pick it apart a little bit. This video is not to attack this creator. I'm just using her as an example of the presence of biphobia that exists and picking into it a little bit. And we're just gonna dive into that and have a conversation around it. But before we do get into all of that, I would like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about today's sponsor, Belisar. Belisar is a company all about sexual empowerment. And today I have teamed up with them to give everyone who orders something from them a free rose vibrator, which is kind of incredible. If you just click the link in the description and place an order, you will get one of these all to yourself for free, which is fantastic. Let me tell you a little bit about some of my favorite products by them. So firstly, obviously we have the rose, which she's incredible. I am obsessed with her. As you know from previous conversations about Belisar and such, suction toys are my absolute favorite. I have a weak spot for them. I have an unnecessary amount of them, if I'm being completely honest with you. And they keep outdoing themselves because the rose is genuinely fantastic. And obviously you get her for free. So let me tell you a little bit about a couple other favorites of theirs that they have. So they have their most popular toy, which I'm sure you all know about by now, which is the Air Vibe, which is a dual stimulator. It's got the internal vibration as well as the external suction, which is just kind of the full package, you know? It's everything you could hope for in a toy. It does everything that you want it to. And she comes in this really cute charging case, which means that you just store her in here and this is what you charge instead. And then whenever she's plugged in, she's like charging back up so she's ready for use next time. And it makes it easy to take with you on the go, and it's very nice and discreet and keeps it clean. And most of their toys do come in these incredible, helpful charging cases, including their Demi wand, which is another one of my favorites. It's like your classic wand vibe, but like a nice size, you know? Like it means you can take it with you on the go. When you're traveling or if you're going to like a partner's house. And speaking of partners, it is a fantastic toy to use in partnered play because it can fit very nicely in between two bodies to just add that little bit of extra, you know? They also have a bunch of other options as well. These are just some of my absolute favorites and ones that I would love to recommend you trying out for yourself. And remember that when you use my link to place an order, you will get yourself a free rose. Thank you so much, Belisar, for sponsoring today's video, and let's move on to it. This whole drama around this creator started when she made a statement that went viral. It moved on to all social media platforms because obviously people were a bit outraged by the fact that this was the response, and this is what her statement says. Since started blowing up on TikTok and Instagram as an LGBT content creator, I've gotten nothing but hate from this community. You guys are constantly on my neck, tearing me apart for any little thing, for any self-expression I try to play around with and learn from. Realizing I was bisexual after being out as a lesbian for the past 6 years has been so terrifying and confusing for me. I had no idea how to process it, let alone figure out how I was going to break the news to two big platforms where I grew for being a lesbian content creator. I knew the reaction will be bad, but this is honestly so inhumane and hostile. Calling me a horrible person, saying I'm profiting off of lesbians, saying I'm in a manic episode and confused, sending me D threats, trying to find my address. This is so insane to me to see because I could never treat somebody like that. I'm being criticized for every little thing, even something simple as still using the WLW hashtag like being queer is suddenly not a part of my identity anymore. I decided I will no longer be making content about the LGBT community and my queerness because this has been such a negative space for me. It's genuinely so disappointing because being queer is something I hold so much pride for, and I went through so much just to get here and be loud about it unapologetically. And instead of support from my own community, I am just put back into such a negative environment for people that are all about peace and love. I'm going to take a break for a minute to see what kind of content I want to start making, so I'll be offline and minding my business for a bit. After this, she went completely private on all accounts, or she like even removed her accounts temporarily because people started like going through all her posts and stuff. And naturally, people were talking about this as a response. As I said, I saw it on Twitter because people were like, it's horrific how all of you treat bisexual women. It's terrible how prevalent biphobia still is. And the conversation sort of centers around the fact that it is so celebrated when a bisexual or non-lesbian queer woman works out that she is actually a lesbian and comes out as a lesbian. That is celebrated. Everyone is so happy and proud and is like, I'm so glad you figured yourself out. Good job. Welcome to the club. We're all lesbians here. I'm so happy for you. But when it goes the other way and a lesbian figures out they are not a lesbian and that they are bisexual or something else, they're met with like death threats. It's suddenly just like not acceptable anymore. You can only go one way. It's okay to not know your identity. That's totally fine. Unless you're moving away from being a lesbian into anything else. Like, that is some next level hypocrisy and unnecessary bigotry coming from within our own community, because I think that it should be celebrated like when anyone knows anything about themselves. Sexuality is such a fluid thing and not everyone is going to be certain, and it can take time to figure shit out. She's like 21 or 22. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? She didn't know. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't even realize that they're queer until way later in life. And like, I feel like being bisexual can be something that is difficult to figure out, because like, if you realize that you're attracted to women, you like roll with that and you're like, oh, I'm a lesbian. And then one day realizing that, oh no, I actually also like men, must be a similar experience to like people who think they're straight realizing they're bi as well, of being like, I'm attracted to men. Oh wait, I'm also attracted to what? Like, you know what I mean? And it's just incredibly fucked up that when someone realizes that they're a lesbian, they get celebrated and met with balloons and a cake. And when someone realizes that they're actually not a lesbian, they get met with death threats. And she posted a few examples of the messages that she was receiving. This one just straight up says, I hope you get killed. Literally, what could, you can't really say very many things at all that would warrant a response like this, unless you yourself have done something absolutely horrific. And even then, I feel like messaging people, I hope you get killed, is just a bit fucked up in general, you know? But she also received this one that was like ridiculously long and horrifying, that reads, you're genuinely a horrible person and I hope that karma bites you straight in the ass. You're so incredibly fucking selfish for benefiting off of the queer community while faking cosplay as a fake lesbian. Do you know how insanely you fucked up the public image of what lesbians are? You deserve everything that's coming for you and more, dude. I'm deadass so disgusted with you, and you've profited thousands of dollars off of lesbians, bro. You're disgusting as fuck, dude. Like, you deserve all this hate and some more. I hope your career in content creation is over now and you fall extremely the fuck off, because you deserve to with all this fake shit. You fake ass queer. Stop using WLW on your shit. You're just queer baiting now. You deserve to get fucking blacklisted. Man, I hate whore ass bitches like you. Dickmatized ass bitch. Should have just stayed a religious. You fake ass queer bitch. You're so dead ass fake. Holy shit. How does anyone think that this is an appropriate response? And like, some people are pointing to the fact that it may have to do with the fact that she came out in a kind of inappropriate way, where this was how she came out. To number one, oh dear diary, I met a boy, he made my dull heart light up with joy, oh dear diary. And I understand that this very much paints the narrative of looking a bit like her, being like, I was a lesbian and now I've been cured by a man. But I don't know if that was the intention. I think that this was very much more just her being like, I was sad and now I have a boyfriend and I'm not so sad. I didn't necessarily myself read this as her being like, I'm so glad that I'm not gay and all lesbians need is a man to turn them straight. Because again, she's not straight. She is still a bisexual woman. Like, her being happy that she met a man doesn't mean she is no longer interested in women. She's not saying that a man cured her of lesbianism, just that she met a man and realized she wasn't a lesbian. And that's like, that just happens sometimes. It's not a matter of lesbians just need the right man to fix them, which people are claiming she is pushing that narrative. But I think just like sometimes that is just what happens. She didn't get a man to fix her lesbianism. She was just not a lesbian to begin with and didn't realize, you know? And I feel like this works in any sort of form of sexuality. Like, a person who thought they were straight may figure out they're bisexual because they meet a girl. And they're like, oh my god, dear diary, I met a girl and now I'm happy and in love. Like, you know what I mean? It's not about like someone turning you. It's just about realizing who you are because you met someone that made you realize it. But anyway, because of the way she came out, that's a large contributing factor to the immense amount of hate that she got just because of the way that she did it. And like, this entire message just kind of proves the fact that people are just assuming that as soon as you start dating a man, suddenly you are no longer queer. She still absolutely has the right to like use the terms like sapphic and WLW because that still applies to her. She's just presently in a relationship with a man. Like, you can be queer and dating someone of the opposite gender. Like, you can be queer and in a like straight relationship. It doesn't take away from your queerness. That's still there. It is okay to take a bit of time to figure this out. She's literally in her early 20s. Like, she's still so young, you know? And like, that doesn't even matter. You can be like 70 and figuring this shit out. Like, you don't always know. Allow people some grace to learn and to grow and to figure themselves out. Reacting to someone figuring out who they are and announcing that they are happy and in a relationship, I don't think is ever cause for death threats and accusing them of faking being queer. Because sure, her like job and her content may have revolved around her being queer, and maybe it revolved around her being a lesbian, but I think being attracted to men doesn't actually take that away because it doesn't negate the fact that she's still also interested in women. This is something that I can empathize with a lot, right? Because my content very heavily revolves around me being queer. It does a little bit less so now than it used to, but I mean, my name is the Queer Kiwi. Being queer is like a massive part of my identity. It's a big part of my like online persona. It's like a massive, massive part of the content that I create, the image that I put out, what I talk about, what I create. I am very openly not a lesbian. I talk a lot about my experiences dating men. Most of the partners that I've had in the past have been men. This is not something that I hide. It's not something that I am ashamed of. And yet so many people still do assume that I'm a lesbian, despite me very openly not being one and also correcting people who assume that I am. And like, regardless even of that, I spend a long time being really anxious about the fact of like, what if I started dating a man? I spent like a few years, honestly, being like, you know, when I decided I wanted to start like dating again or whatever, after having time to figure myself out and recover from trauma and whatever, I was like, what if I found a man that I was interested in? What if I started dating a man? And it genuinely made me anxious. I like was thinking about the fact that like, if I started dating a man, I would have to hide that. I wouldn't be able to post about that anywhere. I wouldn't be able to talk about it because I was worried about what the fallback would be, what the pushback would be. I genuinely was so anxious about the fact that if I started openly dating a man, people would call me a queer beta. People would get mad at me and say that I was just like profiting off of queer people. That like conservatives who like to make videos shitting on me would start making more videos about how I fake it all for attention and that queers are all liars. There are already people. I saw comments on like someone who made a video about me. I saw like comments on their videos being like, I heard that she's not even queer. She even has a boyfriend and she's just faking it for attention. And that got like dozens of likes and people replying being like, yeah, I heard that too. And like conspiring that I have a boyfriend, which I don't. I sent that to my partner though, and they replied being like, well, I guess I'm a man now. And that was it's quite funny. But even still though, right? Even regardless of that, even if hypothetically speaking, I did have a boyfriend, that does not make me not queer. You know, like I would still be queer. I could still make queer content. I could still revolve my identity around being queer because that doesn't just go away if I date a man. I was queer through my other relationships with men. I'm queer in my relationship with a non-binary person. I would be queer in any relationship that I am in. My queerness does not disappear. And the fact that there were people accusing me of faking being queer because I had a boyfriend, that's not how this fucking works. And I know that like a majority of my audience, people who watch my videos regularly, would be totally fine and get it and understand. But like it clearly is something that I was valid to worry about based off of the response that people get when they do come out as being in relationships with men. This is something also, I guess my anxiety around it was like high because even my mom warned me about it. My mom said to me one day, she's like, you've made your entire brand around being queer. What happens if you get a boyfriend? She was like, you can never date a man again now. I'm like constantly validated in the fact that this anxiety was so valid to have. You know, like this is the response to queer people dating men. I know that I'm openly not a lesbian, but because so many people do assume that about me, or so many people just assume that I wouldn't date a man, I fear what the backlash would be if I did. And I would like to not be afraid of that. You know, like I feel like no one should worry about that. No one should worry about the gender of their partner just because they are openly queer. There is further reason as to why she has been blowing up this past week, and it's obviously all centered around the fact that she came out as bi. And because people were mad about it, she became part of conversation and people started digging into some of her old TikToks and finding them in places. This is before she went in and deleted all of the TikToks she has about being queer. So there's very limited ones that are around. But a lot of people claiming that she built her audience off of being biphobic herself. She made a lot of content where she was actively and openly biphobic, which means that the audience that follows her are also actively and openly biphobic. So obviously, of course, when she comes out as bisexual, she's going to face backlash for that. Her audience that she built on biphobia are going to be mad at her. But I couldn't see any videos of her promoting biphobia. Like no one was providing any videos of her promoting biphobia. That wasn't anything that I could find. And she went through and deleted a lot of her videos. Like she took her account down, deleted a bunch of videos, and then went back and public again. So there is not very much proof to back the fact that she was openly biphobic. I think if she was openly biphobic and making biphobic content, then I think, you know, she can't be surprised at the response that she got, but I still obviously don't think that the response that she got was okay. And I think there's a difference between like making fun of bi people and then sending death threats to bi people. You know what I mean? Like both are bad. Like don't make fun of bisexual people and don't be biphobic. But I also don't think that's on the same level as like death threats and like being doxxed. You know what I mean? Like they're two different things, and I don't think one is worthy of the other. Some of the videos people were bringing up though are videos such as this one.
Excuse me, I'm calling all the fucking femmes, cause you guys need to step up your goddamn game. You guys don't know how to fucking flirt for shit. You don't know how to compliment a mask for shit. You know who the fuck is outdoing you? The men. That says a lot, bitch. I keep thinking about this man. Oh, Monkey. I don't know if you guys know what the fuck Monkey is. It's like Amigo. Okay, but this man started talking about how my face brings joy. Like he can tell that I'm just like a smiley person. Like he can tell it on my face I'm just very smiley. And that he doesn't care whether I'm a man or a woman. I'm just the most beautiful person he's ever seen. No woman has ever said that shit to me. What the fuck? I get handsome. I get, can I fucking ride your strap? But no, oh, you have beautiful eyes. That is coming from the men? Listen, I like you guys. I love you. I love women. I don't even take the silicone off my goddamn punani. But at this point, I will take the real deal. Because what the fuck? They're offering me money. They're offering me all these compliments, talking about how I'm the most beautiful girl in the world. Beautiful! You guys don't even call me beautiful! Fuck you! All I'm saying is I might as well get a fucking mask or a man, because what the fuck? I'm done.
A lot of the videos that I was seeing on my timeline are basically her just making fun of femme lesbians and saying that they're not great, that it's hard to find a good femme lesbian, that femme lesbians don't appreciate mask lesbians, because her identity was very like that she is a mask and she's into femmes, and it's really hard to find a good dynamic that works, and like femme lesbians are so hard to find, they don't treat you right, etc. What I was able to take away from that based on going through a lot of her content is that she was in a relationship with a femme lesbian who did mistreat her and I think potentially abused her as well. And so she was sort of taking out her frustration about that relationship in a very large and general sense. And does that make it okay? No. Is it good content? No, absolutely not. I think that in this content, she is, you know, being a bit misogynistic. And she is putting men on this weird spot to try to be like, it's got a bit of pick-me energy, both towards lesbians and also towards men. At the very core of it, it is quite a misogynistic sort of content that she is creating. But it is incredibly interesting how no one seemed to have a problem with it at the time. When she was creating this content, it was getting like tens of thousands of likes. It was getting people laughing at it. It was getting people engaged. It was mostly positive response. No one ever called her out for it or said that it was problematic. So she kept making this content because it got views and it got positive attention. So it is incredibly interesting that as soon as she comes out as bi, this content comes out and is now being viewed as problematic. It is being talked about. People are canceling her for it. People are talking about how horrible of a person she is. And it's just really, really interesting that when she was a lesbian, the content was fine. But now that she's bi, it's not okay. The content didn't change. And once again, her attraction to women didn't change. All of this stays exactly the same. She as a person has not changed. So why is it that as soon as she acknowledges that she's bisexual, everything she's done in the past is now a problem? And she made an apology video or a statement about this. It was deleted very quickly, so I didn't get to save it. But in it, what she said effectively is that she was like, I've never tried to hurt anyone. The content I wanted to create, like I never was intentionally hurting people, and I'm sorry if I was. If people had called me out and told me what I was doing was problematic and hurting people, I would have stopped. I wouldn't have uploaded content like that anymore. I didn't know that it was harmful. And we'll never know how true that is. Like, we'll never know that if she would have gotten mad at that and not actually listened and like defended herself and been like, it's not problematic, get over it, because we don't have the opportunity to see if that's how she would have responded to that. I do think that like it's ignorant to believe that she had no idea what she was doing was problematic at all. But I think she was likely choosing to be ignorant to that. Do I think that that makes it less problematic? No. Do I think that people are being hypocrites? Yes. Biphobia is just so present within our community, and it's such a thing that is like so easily overlooked. Like in this whole situation, it can so easily be ignored, and a lot of people are claiming that it's not biphobic and that she, you know, reaps what she sows. That, you know, they're just bringing up problematic shit and they would have brought it up before. But it's like, you've had these TikToks saved to your phone for a while. These TikToks have been around for a while. They've had tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views, and no one said a bad thing about them. So the fact that it's suddenly an issue as soon as she comes out as bisexual and as soon as she starts getting death threats and things, it now comes out as a problem. And I think that is such a good look at the level of biphobia and how much it is overlooked within our community. At the same time as this, like on this same day, literally almost back to back on my timeline, was there another biphobic tweet. And I think that proves very well how loud biphobia is presently. And that tweet is from this lesbian who's complaining about seeing a bisexual identify as femme. And the tweet just says, bisexual femme. Bisexual femme. Bisexual femme. Sorry, I guess if I repeat it enough times, I'm thinking it'll make sense. It's still not. And so thus stating that the term femme is reserved exclusively for lesbians and is not a word that bisexual women or non-lesbian queer women are allowed to use for themselves. And that's just... it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, this is just completely overlooking and erasing so much queer history just for the sake of being biphobic. This led to a lot of people in the replies and in the quotes pointing to the fact that she hasn't looked into the history of terminology or into like sapphic history in general, because queer women used to just all be together. We used to all band together and work together. You know, we're all women who love women. We are all in this fight together. And the fact that it's become so separate to a lot of people, and the fact that there is so much biphobia present in the lesbian community, is just so frustrating and so upsetting. Like, there is no need for the drastic separation that has happened between the two. Like, we share the same history. We face the same shit. Bisexual or non-lesbian queer women will still get slurs thrown at them. They will still get hate crimed. They will still be disowned by their families. They will still face the same oppression and discrimination that lesbians do. Like, sometimes, okay, bi women or non-lesbian queer women will be in relationships with men. And in those relationships with men, when they are out in public with their partner, they are not going to face the discrimination then a woman out in public with their female partner will, right? Obviously. They are het passing in that moment. But also, like, lesbians by themselves are often going to be hetero passing if they aren't in public with a partner. Unless they are openly, like, presenting in a very like typical like lesbian way and people are going to assume that, then sure, maybe they'd be at risk of facing homophobia because of the way that they present. But that is not exclusive to lesbians either. I myself present very queer. Regardless of who I'm in a relationship with or if I'm by myself, like, I present very queer. And a lot of queer women do. And then there are a lot of queer women, lesbians including, who don't. Like, some people het pass, some people don't. It's all based off of stereotypes. There are straight people who get presumed to be queer. My mother is one of them. Like, unless you were in public very openly, like, with a partner, you aren't being openly, explicitly queer. It's all based off of societal judgment, based on how you express yourself. And then when you are in public with a partner, and that's like easily noticeable, then you are going to be treated the same regardless of whether you are a lesbian, whether you are bisexual, pansexual, queer, like whatever. You are going to be treated exactly the same because the people who are yelling at you and being homophobic don't give a rat's fucking ass what label you use or who else you're attracted to, because in that moment, right now, you are queer. You are publicly, visibly queer, and nothing else matters. The words butch and femme have been used to describe queer women of all sorts for a very long time. As I said, we are all in this together, and it makes no sense to separate us when we are all facing the same shit. Excluding any queer group is damaging and it's harmful and it's so unnecessary and using such unnecessary effort. Like, why are we turning each other into enemies when, you know, we could all support each other and fight against the actual oppressors and the people who are actually a problem instead of infighting for no fucking reason other than some weird superiority complex that we have. It's such an outstanding, like, turf rhetoric, and it's wild to me that people, like, don't see that. Mind you, I think a lot of, like, biphobic lesbians are also transphobic, so I suppose that makes a little bit of sense. And it's all rooted in some form of misogyny too, right? Like, if you stand here and say, like, all queer people are welcome except for that one specific group of queer people, like, you have to hear yourself. You have to understand how unhelpful that is to anyone, and you are not making any positive impact at all. And then you get into the whole, like, dating pool for, like, queer women, non-lesbian queer women, right? And there are people, and this extends even honestly into straight people and like gay men as well, of people being like, I just have a preference to not date bisexuals. I'm allowed a preference. And it's like, no. You aren't allowed a preference if the preference is based in bigotry, because that's not a preference, that's you being a bigot. You know, like, give me one valid actual reason to not date a bisexual person that isn't bigoted. Like, give me just one reason, because what are the common reasons? Like, they're more likely to cheat, which is assuming that bisexual people are attracted to everyone. Okay, and that's not how attraction works at all. Me personally, I don't have a gender preference, as established at the beginning of this video. I don't have a gender preference. I don't care. If I like you as a person, I like you as a person. But do you know how rare? Do you know how rare that is? I can count the people I've had a crush on in my life on like one hand. I don't look at a person and am like attracted to them. I can look at someone and be like, you're a beautiful person, but never am I actively attracted to people. That's just not something that is a thing for me. You know, I sit somewhere on the A spectrum, but I still do date people and I still do have sex, etc., right? But your average lesbian is going to be attracted to a much larger pool of people than me. You know, like the amount of genders that I like doesn't equal the amount of people that I like. Because attraction, like the pool of people you're attracted to it's not the same. Like I have a higher number of people who I could potentially be attracted to, but not a higher number of people that I am actually attracted to. We all experience attraction differently. We all have different standards. We all have different things that we're looking for. We all have different levels of need of like emotional connection or whatever. Like no one experiences attraction exactly the same. Your sexuality has no impact on how many people you are attracted to. You are not competing with any more or less people, because the number of people I'm attracted to is limited to what I am attracted to myself personally. And also, you should have trust in a relationship. It shouldn't matter who anyone else is attracted to. Like, none of that should matter. You should just trust your partner. And the fact that you don't trust a bisexual person just because you have some weird notion of like superiority and like are forcing this idea that bisexual people are unloyal because what? Because they might have a crush on a man? What's that got to do with anything? You might have a crush on a different woman. Like, it implies that only like bisexual people cheat. But I'm so certain that lesbians, gay men, and straight people are also cheating. Like a lot. So why does it make a difference? Then there's the classic, I don't want to be with anyone who's been with a man. And to that I say, please explain that preference and what it has to do with anything, because as far as I'm aware, someone's sexual history has absolutely nothing to do with you. Like, unless they have like an STI, that's like the only thing you need to know about someone's sexual history is their boundaries, if they have any triggers, and also if they are currently clean, like how frequently they get tested, if they have any STIs or anything like that. That is all you need to know. Nothing else fucking matters. Who someone's been with in the past doesn't matter. And the fact that you are sitting here and being like, I don't want to be with someone who's been with a man. Why though? What impact does that have on your life at all? Why does that make you feel so superior? It doesn't fucking matter. And you look fucking stupid. And just like a bigoted asshole. There's no need for that. And what about the lesbians who took a while to figure it out? The lesbians who were trying to pretend they were straight or like convince themselves they were, who took a long time to figure out the fact that they were actually lesbians. Like, you're cutting all of them out as well. So you're not even exclusively just being biphobic. You're just being, you know, not allowing people to have time to figure themselves out, and even hating on a whole bunch of lesbians whom you're supposedly in support of. The whole conversation of like non-lesbian queer women, or just queer people in general, like gay, non-lesbian queer people, not facing the same oppression and not understanding what it's like, is so bullshit. It's so bullshit. There's absolutely no need for this divide. You know, if we're looking at queer women and lesbians, like, There's no need to separate us. We should all be in this together because we do all face those same struggles. We do all hear the same shit. Regardless of whether I am a lesbian or a bisexual woman, a pansexual woman, whatever the fuck, the anxiety I have, like, holding hands with my girlfriend in a small town in New Zealand was exactly the same. It's exactly the same. I'd never experienced that before because I've always lived in cities and I've never been around homophobia in my life. And I remember going to my girlfriend at the time's hometown, and it's the first time I've been like anxious about being physically affectionate in any way in public. Like, I was worried about holding her hand and the attention that would attract. And it doesn't matter what my identity is. It doesn't matter what her identity is. None of that matters. The looks and the comments we would have received would have been exactly the same because they don't know and they don't care. We are all in this together, and like getting mad over just figuring out you're bisexual a little bit later in life, getting upset because people are just attracted to more people or a different group of people is so unhelpful. Like, yes, it is fun to sit here and shit on men and hate men. I am one of you. I love to sit here and hate men and shit on men, but that is a different thing entirely. You know what I mean? Like, the way we feel about men and then the way you're attracted to men is like, they're two separate things. Like, there are a lot of queer women who are choosing not to date men. The amount of men I would date is smaller than the amount of women I would date because a lot of men don't reach the standards that I have. But like, the point's still there. And there's a difference between hating men and being cruel to women who are attracted to men. All this fight does, and all this like biphobia does, is show that bisexual people do face discrimination. Like, sitting here and yelling about the fact that bisexual people don't understand the struggle and it's like life isn't as hard and will never be as oppressed whilst actively discriminating against them in their own community is really just proving the opposite of the point. Like, sitting here and like watching a bisexual woman receive like countless death threats while then saying bisexual women don't face any struggles, like, use your eyes and your brain and like think for a second and look at what you are contributing to right now. Ultimately, biphobia is brushed aside like so quickly, and it is treated as such a non-issue, but it's extremely prevalent. It's everywhere. It is such a problem. It is all-consuming, and it is something that people just do not like to talk about and like to ignore. It's important to like notice it and call it out when you see it because it is so often used so casually, and sometimes people are participating in it without even realizing it. So it's important to like think about what you are saying and what you're contributing and putting out there before you say it and put it out there. This is a conversation that we need to have. We need to call each other out on, and we need to realize this narrative that we have and the way that we treat queer people who aren't one gender attracted, you know? We are all queer women, and we should all stand together, and we should all help each other out and support each other. No more of this bullshit. I hope that you take something away from this video. Please feel free to discuss this in the comments. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and see what you think, and what you think should be done about it, etc. I'm interested to hear. And if you did enjoy this video, please do not forget to leave a like and comment. It genuinely helps me out so much. YouTube has been a bit of a bitch, and interacting with the video really does help me out, especially if you would like to subscribe. Over 50% of you are regular viewers but are not subscribed, and I would so appreciate it if you were. I'm trying to hit 500k by the end of the year, so anything helps. A huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Bobby, Ellie, Chris, Samuel, Knitting Menace, Radsack, Mr. Noodle, Lady Nutbar, Ella, Queen Glimmer, River, Phenomenally, Jesse, Phil the Duck, Uh-Oh, It's Craiglow, Blaze, Blue Kitsune 24, M.A. Ping the Games, Joy, L. James D, Prismatic, and Beckett. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone else would like to be a patron, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat. Starts at as little as £1 a month, and I appreciate it greatly. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes, you replay